Hey everyone, it's Darrie from Method. Welcome back to our Mythic Plus video series. Hate to say it, but this is the last video in our tips series, at least for Legion. But as always, we've been listening to your feedback, so we really hope you like this video. We're going to talk about the top 5 DPS classes for 3 different categories: damage output, affixes, and versatility and utility. This week we worked with Mittbitt from our NA MDI team. And don't forget, as always, if you want to learn more about these classes, the affixes or dungeons, go to Wowhead. And don't forget that a lot of your favorite Method players have written Mythic Plus guides for Wowhead. We'll put the link right here. Coming up first, damage output. Number 5, Havoc Demon Hunters. They're capable of dealing extremely high amounts of area of effect damage, while also being able to maintain sustained damage throughout a fight. They don't fall behind on damage for AoE or single target fights, and boast fairly high survivability. Blur being only a 1-minute cooldown increases your chance to dodge by 50% and reduces damage taken by 35% for 10 seconds. Number 4, Balance Druids. They're known for their very high AoE sustained damage output, with or without cooldowns, which outshines their decent single target damage. They have a lot of mobility when casting, as they cast while moving within the radius of their starfall, and they also have very strong survivability thanks to their high armor and active damage mitigation, such as Bear Form and Barkskin. Number 3, Marksman Hunters. They have very high burst AoE damage and can maintain decent AoE damage over extended periods. They can also pull off high sustained single target damage and have fairly high survivability with disengage, reducing the damage you take by 13% for 4 seconds, and having aspect of the turtle to avoid taking all damage in most situations, with one of their better legendaries also contributing to their survivability. Number 2, Affliction Warlocks. They're the best at sustained damage, whether it's one target or many. Their damage over time spells allow them to contribute significantly to extended fights, and their extremely high survivability allows them to keep doing so. Their Soul Leech allows them to absorb 14% of the damage they deal for 15 seconds, up to 19% of their maximum HP. Additionally, their Unending Resolve grants immunity to interrupts and silence effects, and reduces all damage they take by 40% for 8 seconds. Lastly, Drain Soul heals for 224% of the damage done, providing massive self-healing when demanded. And at number 1, Windwalker Monks. They push out extremely high amounts of burst AoE damage, and are very capable of keeping up the damage throughout a fight. Their damage doesn't stop there though, as they stay competitive with extremely high amounts of single target damage. They also have high survivability, and are desirable for their simplicity and talent choices. One build can work for all situations, for high damage output, and you only need to change one talent for different types of survivability. Next up, affixes. Once again at number 5, we have Havoc Demon Hunters. They can easily kill explosive orbs without losing too much damage. Their leech effect can out-heal the damage taken from affixes like Grievous, and can help compensate for mistakes that other affixes punish. Darkness can be used to help prevent party damage from some affixes like Bursting. Number 4, Windwalker Monks. They're able to adjust to all affixes fairly well. Their Leg Sweep and Ring of Peace talents are very useful in preventing the tank from dying to necrotic or raging. Storm, Earth, and Fire aids in reducing the amount of threat they generate, helping to make Skittish a much easier affix compared to some other classes. They also have strong self-healing and defenses that aid in reducing the impact of Grievous and Bursting. Number 3, Marks Hunters. They have a strong counter to all affixes, and can survive some mistakes. They can use Turtle to prevent damage from bursting, and use Bursting Shot to move mobs out of Sanguine effects. Concussive Shot, Tar Trap, and Binding Shot can be useful for multiple affixes that require the tank to kite mobs. Misdirection is powerful for skittish weeks, where mobs pay less attention to the tank, and for kiting mobs. Number 2. Affliction Warlocks. They have a large toolkit to deal with all affixes. They can be powerful on some affixes like bolstering, where they can enslave or banish a demon-type mob to prevent bolstering from happening too early. Health stones and their incredible self-healing change the way the groups deal with certain affixes like bursting or grievous to heal themselves as well as the party while out of combat. They can also permanently slow most mobs to prevent them from reaching the tank while the tank kites on affixes like necrotic or raging. And number 1, Balanced Druid. They have the most flexibility to help their group deal with all affixes. They can use Force of Nature and Typhoon to assist the tank in avoiding necrotic or being killed by raging mobs. Typhoon is extremely useful for repositioning mobs out of Sanguine. They deal evenly spaced AoE damage, which helps manage bolstering. Their regrowth can be helpful in healing through bursting and grievous, and frenzied regeneration can help if they take large amounts of damage from other mechanics. Our final category is versatility and utility. Coming in at number 5, Windwalker Monks. They have a very strong defensive cooldown set, some of which can dispel harmful effects like diffuse magic, and have a 5-second AoE stun or knockback talent choice. Additionally, Touch of Karma provides a shield for 50% of maximum HP, and the damage absorbed is redirected back at the enemy as a damage over time effect for 6 seconds while healing you. They also grant passive movement speed increase to the party through Windwalking, which increases party member speed by 10% within 10 yards. They also have access to many speed increases, such as Roll, Flying Serpent Kick, and Tiger's Lust, that can be used on party members to remove all roots and snares, and increases movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds. At number 4, Havoc Demon Hunters bring quite a lot of utility to the table in dungeons. To start, they have a range on many ability types that other melee classes can only use in melee range, such as a 20-yard range on their Interrupt ability. Demon Hunters have a 5-second AoE stun ability with a short cooldown, and can talent into a cooldown reduction on their stun. They also have Imprison, a hard CC which will allow you to walk through a mob without pulling it. For survival, they have Leech to heal themselves to full health, a strong defensive ability with a short cooldown, on-demand 100% dodge chance with Blade Dance, and a group-wide effect cooldown ability, which can save party members. Additionally, an artifact trait reduces the magic damage they take by 20%. Number 3, Marks Hunters, have an extremely strong defensive ability, Aspect of the Turtle, which is an immunity that can serve the whole group by providing the ability to soak damage. Disengage is a great short cooldown ability that allows hunters to escape damage, and it also applies a reduction effect to damage taken. Feigned Death can be used to stop the application of some negative effects, or the function of some mechanics, and can be used for some skips. Predaz is a strong legendary to use for damage for this spec, so Marks Hunters can get the added effect of its damage absorption. If any self-healing is needed, Marks Hunters also have Exhilaration, and the cooldown on the ability can be reduced by killing mobs. Marksmanship also has a massive attack range, which allows them to outrange many mechanics. At number 2, Affliction Warlocks gain access to a variety of utility through their choice in pets. Depending on which minion they choose, they can have an Interrupt, an AoE stun, or the ability to control certain mobs in multiple dungeons. They provide health stones for the group and have extremely high self-healing, a strong passive defense ability, a strong active defense ability. To add to their absorption, Predaz is a strong legendary for the damage that they get extra survivability it provides. Warlocks can also use summoning stones for party members that prefer to have different talents for certain circumstances in the dungeon, and can place gateways to increase efficiency during pulls, and allow mobility during fights. Warlocks can also use fear on mobs to interrupt or delay unwanted enemy casts. Additionally, Warlocks have a combat res to bring back dead allies. And at number 1, Balanced Druids. Balanced Druids bring life and movement. They have a battle res to bring back dead allies, as well as a short defensive cooldown, Barkskin, to defend themselves. They can also shift into bear form at any time to significantly increase survivability with no cooldown, with the added benefit of clearing most movement impairing effects whenever they shapeshift. Druids can also use Wild Charge or Displacer Beast for high mobility and to take advantage of many opportunities that these diverse movement abilities open up. While in cat form and out of combat, Druids can also stealth, allowing them to make use of certain skip strategies. Travel form and Wild Charge also pair well to allow Druids and their party to perform certain dungeon skips well. When Balanced Druids are within the radiance of their Starfall ability, they can cast while moving, allowing them to keep up their damage while avoiding enemy mechanics or kiting certain mobs. Solar Beam is a strong AoE silence ability that persists for 8 seconds. The only downside to it is the length of the cooldown. To top it all off, they have Entangling Roots, a CC that will stop patrolling mobs in place to allow the group to pass or fight in a safer area. So let's take a look back one more time at our top 5 classes for damage output, affixes, and versatility and utility. So looking at the list, it sure looks like Balanced Druids and Affliction Warlocks stand out. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Do you play a class that you think was left off our list entirely but deserved a spot? Be sure to comment and let us know. Thank you so much for being with us the last 6 videos as we looked at some tips and tricks for Mythic Plus healing, tanking, and DPSing, not to mention tips on affixes. If you like this series, we'll be back with more Battle for Azeroth content in the near future. Thank you so much for watching, and on behalf of Wowhead, Method, and Mittbitt, it's been my pleasure bringing you these videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.